Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Friday evening live stream. I hope you guys are all having a super fantastic and amazing week. We'll see if other people are going to pop in here because we have a pretty small audience as far as I can tell. But I just wanted to give you guys an update of what's going on and see if you guys have any questions or anything as we begin preparing for tomorrow. So, tomorrow is trooping. So I'm here in London just to cover Trooping the Color. It is going to be a crazy event. It probably less crazy than the ones I've actually attended. So this is actually my first regular trooping. So I have done like a couple. I did the Jubilee, I did the coronation. Those are not normal like trooping. So this will be my first normal trooping event. So we shall be there at I want to somehow be there between the 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. hour. That is my goal for tomorrow. And so if you don't know how sort of trooping works, is that it starts around what they go over to the main venue where they do the actual military parade part at about, let's say, 10:45, I think, is when they leave Buckingham Palace. And then they get all the way over there. And then we see them go past. And then they come back for the fly past later that ends at 1. So it's a long day. I do have my trusty step stool, my very nice camera, a monopod, and a tripod for all video and picture shenaniganry we can get. So it might be a bit of a challenge, and we shall see. So we do want to say good evening to Lizzie V. Hi, Ms. Brittany. Hi, Ms. Brittany, Ms. Pippa, and chat. We have Sandra says heavy rain Friday night reported clearing around 7 a.m. at Saturday. Take care. Yes, so that's a great reminder for me even to look at the weather, because I was looking at it and it seemed like all the rain would be done very early in the morning. And so, yeah, thunderstorms likely around 8:15, it says, heavy torrential downpours at time. But when it comes to the hourly, it doesn't look like we have any precipitation for Saturday. So mostly sunny in the afternoon, high of 72. So it's going to cool down a little bit. It's actually been pretty hot here in London. I was walking around all day today in a strapless dress, and it's a dress. I actually still have it on. I'm just a little cold in my hotel room. So I have my Recollections Mayberry sweatshirt on. And it was like I was perfectly fine. Sometimes I got hot. I'm so glad I packed mostly dresses, but tomorrow I'll be in like leggings and one of my Recollections Mayberry t-shirts. And the only reason I'm doing that is like if it does rain, like leggings are really quick to dry. That's why I wore during the coronation. You want something that's comfortable because you'll be standing out there for a super duper long time. So let's see. Or I do have my step stool, so I will be sitting on my step stool. Hopefully, again, I get there early enough where I don't have anybody in front of me. And the trick is, in case you've never been to trooping, is to actually get further to the back rather than being close to the palace. Because the reason is that they actually let the audience in from the back to go to the balcony first. So they let the back in and let it fill in. So if you're actually close to the palace, you might not actually get a good spot for the balcony because you're too far back when the entire crowd, because then you'll have thousands of people ahead of you technically, and you'd have to worm your way in. So we shall do that tomorrow. It'll hopefully be fun. Hopefully I have my cameras figured out better now. And I actually have a little thingy where I can record on my phone at the same time I'm taking pictures. But that adds, of course, as well, another additional challenge. And I also have my monopod. So this is basically a single stand tripod. And the only reason I'm using that is to help steady the video camera as I'm taking pictures. So anyways, and we have Nicole who became a YouTube member. Why, thank you so much, Nicole. I do have a video for you guys as I was like packing. You can see all the crazy stuff I bring because when I go and travel, I bring so much. I bring so much equipment and everything. I actually have a bigger suitcase this time. I bought a bunch of books too, to be quite honest. So we got to get all the books home. And I've been really proud of myself, though. I tried on a bunch of stuff today, did not love anything. So I did not buy any of the clothes. There was a moment where I wanted to buy a pair of shoes, and I actually found one of the GMV Tarasi Rainier shoes that Catherine has previously worn that are the bejeweled ones. They're gorgeous in person, really beautiful. So I need to share that. And I tried on a bunch of Fascinators. So I'm hoping to get like a poll going somehow, and you can tell me which one you guys think is the best. That might be best served on Instagram. We'll have to see, or maybe I'll do it like via Substack or something. I'm curious what you guys think. So Evelyn says, oh, it's not at 10 a.m. Eastern, right? So yes, there'll be no Saturday morning live stream tomorrow because I will be at trooping. I don't know. Well, wait, let me amend that. You know what? We might actually do it because I think by 3 o'clock, I should be back here. I should be able to get back to my hotel. So the fly past is at 1. And by that point, though, I'll probably want to get some lunch, to be quite honest. So we shall be working on that because my plan tomorrow, guys, is really not to drink any water or really have many food because you don't want to have any bodily functions while you're trying to wait there because the crowd gets there. You can't guarantee somebody's going to hold your spot if you have to go to the bathroom. So I have, like, the couple years I've done something like this, I just don't eat or drink anything or just have little bits of sips of something just to avoid having those kind of issues. So even for the coronation, I debated adult diapers. I will 100% acknowledge that. I debated adult diapers. Didn't go down that path, so glad I didn't. Didn't really need them. But again, if you don't really eat or drink anything, you don't have any worries. I was actually out walking around town for like, I want to say 6 hours today. Didn't use a restroom at all. So it's like totally done. But the problem is if you have nothing to do and you're just standing there and you're really bored, you do start to think about it. So we have Lizzie B. I can't believe another year has passed already. I know, right? And I am working on a best and worst list for Catherine's trooping looks. So I was actually pretty far through that before we started this live stream. It actually went really, really quickly. So I will go ahead and get that posted on Royal Fashion News this evening. I was going to do the best and worst dress list for like the last week or whatever. Just didn't get a chance to yet. And maybe I'll wait until this next week. Like I'm having trouble because sometimes it's like the same people hitting the worst list. And I'm like, I don't want to be picking on people. That's not the point. But it's like you kind of have the same issues week after week. So I will see. Joanna said hello from New Jersey. Hello. Smarty 1661 says, hope you had a fun day. It looks like you have weather for it. From Kent, UK. Yes, we have some fantastic weather here, to be quite honest. Like the only time you really feel really, really stuffy is in the metro. So that's when you kind of really, really feel it. But again, if you dress appropriately, like I still had a denim jacket. I never used it. I never felt cool enough to use it. Yeah, so been good. We'll also keep this live stream close to about the hour mark because I want to finish up that video and I definitely want to get a good night's sleep. Because I want to be on my best because I gotta mess with the camera. The camera's complicated. I don't always like it's been a bit. So it says, JB says it might be a challenging camera angle, but your skin looks fantastic. Why, thank you. I think it's just because this camera is not as good because I'm just using the camera on the computer. It avoids me traveling with more camera equipment than I need. I probably have more camera equipment than I need, but always good to have a backup. So I have my really, really nice camera. I have a backup camera that's not as nice. Can't do, because what I have is a camera that does the high capacity taking pictures. And so I need to make sure I get the right SD cards in it and the CFS Express cards. And so it can go in like hyperburst mode. So it takes a bunch of pictures and it renders them really quickly. And in order to have that capacity, you need a really good camera. Because I had one for the coronation, but actually when I was at the Dog and Duck, I want to say with Catherine and William, I was taking a whole bunch of pictures. And when they went inside, the camera crashed for a couple of minutes before coming back. So it's one of those things where you do have to really invest in some good equipment to get sort of the results you want. And I don't have a team, so I can't have somebody who does pictures and videos, but videos are a little bit easier to, let's say, utilize because when it comes to videos, at least, there's something called fair use. So if you're using it to offer additional commentary and stuff like that, if you use short cuts of it, you can use that pretty readily, but pictures are expensive and I generally actually buy the pictures for all my thumbnails and stuff. So yeah, Ava says, hi, Brittany. And we have Kate Coffee. Hi, everyone. Evelyn says, Brittany, so glad to see you. Lemon Drop Kid says, I want to see how Anne is. A tough year. I wonder if she will ride. I have not heard yet. We know Charles is not, and he's not going to be riding for the foreseeable future. So that is a big change we'll see. Smarty says, have a fun day. The weather looks fabulous for it. Yes, it does. I can't wait. Carol says, good evening from the Netherlands. Hello. Soaring Eagle says, my first live chat. I get to watch live. I hope you have a great time tomorrow at Trooping the Color. Why, thank you. I hope I have a good time too. I was going to say, pray that Catherine and the kids will look my way as they actually drive past. So what's kind of interesting is the first trooping I went to was technically the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. So big crowds. And I did find a space where I didn't have anybody in front of me, even though I was kind of further back. Did not have a good camera. So I went with my iPhone to take video. And as it happened, we were in front of an exit for St. James's Palace and Clarence House. And there was a group of people. It included staff and included apparently what the Met Police called the Duchess's family, which I think was Camilla's. And so Catherine and the kids and Camilla all really, really waved at our side of the crowd because they knew the people. Actually, you can even see Johnny, whatever his name is, the military guy everybody coos over. He was actually, I got him on video too because he happened to be in that crowd. So I'm really hoping this year I could get maybe around the same section because it actually turned out as well that we saw Anne leaving, like Edward leaving and stuff like that. So my goal is to get, though, a front facing position. That is what my definite goal is, because I don't want anybody in front of me. It makes for challenging because if you ever go to a big event like this, what everybody does, I kid you not, is go like this. So if you are behind them, people lift up, the people have their cameras right here, but the next round has them up here and the next and that. And so you really get blocked out if you're too far back. So that is why I invested in the step stool in part, but it also gives me sort of leverage to be tall, especially for the balcony section. That'll be when that's really helpful. But also I've stood on it when they're going past. And even if I'm in the front, it gives me a better angle on them. So I'm especially happy because as I was looking through the pictures, I realized for pretty much every trooping, they've been in a open carriage except for last year. So I'm really hoping that obviously the weather is supposed to clear and we get open carriages tomorrow. Genevieve says, hi, Britt. Hello. Because the challenge with the carriages is that the windows, you have to photograph through the glass, and that can be tricky. Birdie says, welcome back to England. Why, thank you. Lemon says they go to the horse guards. That's right. That's right. Becky says, hello, friends. Miss KY Blue says, hi, Brittany. So excited to see your coverage of Trooping the Color tomorrow. Why, thank you. I'm hoping for a lovely day. Barbecue says, thanks, Brittany. Melanie says, stormed here all morning in Louisiana. Oh, well, I hope it's past now. And we have Liz M says, hi, everyone. Becky says, I've been wondering about the weather. Yes. So it should be technically, guys, we should get clear skies tomorrow by the time trooping rolls around. It sounds like all the weather will be finished in the morning. It's like when I was looking at the rain chart, and I can pull it up maybe with the Weather Channel, because the Weather Channel I feel like has or maybe it was my other phone. Anyways, I had sort of, you could see tomorrow, like the rain stopping at like 7 a.m. or something. So that's good. Helps me too, because I'm planning on being out there pretty early tomorrow. So hoping, I actually heard from my taxi driver the day before. So not yesterday, but the day before, because yesterday was my first full day, is that trooping hasn't been as big the last couple of years, he said. So I thought that was really interesting and encouraging for me because it's like, I got to get there early, get a good spot. And again, I get further down the mile. So to actually get a better spot for the balcony. So in case you're curious, sorry, I need to take a drink here real quick. So K Coffee says, hit the like. Yes, thank you. Shaz says, hi, Brittany and all in chat. Nancy says, cannot wait to see your coverage. Stay safe. Evelyn says, what does a little purple crown mean? I do not know. Is it in the like thumbnail? It's just, I have a crown that I put there, so we all shall see. Lemon Drop Kid says, "Will you be in the press area or among the crowd?" I will be among the crowd. I have not quite figured out how to, like, the Brits, I understand, are very protective of who can follow royals because there's so many people who are interested. So it's much easier for me to get press credentials for other royal families, like the Danes and the Swedes and the Dutch. I've gotten press credentials for events with them included. But when it comes to the Brits, it's really hard. I need to figure out how to make that a bit easier. So I am hoping at some point to do that. But I will be in the crowds. So that'll be good. Like and guys, I will be perfectly frank too. Even if you're a photographer, the photographers get there early too, because photography, at least when it comes to royals, is first come first serve. So if you are there earlier, the better spot you get. And so like that's 100% how it works in royal photography too. See, even with the crowd, without the crowd, like the only benefit, I mean, obviously there's a lot of benefits to being a member of the press corps oftentimes, but some of the big benefits I found is just feeling secure because it's like I have a lot of camera equipment, it's expensive and pricey. And so, how do you balance making sure you keep your eye on your stuff while at the same time getting pictures? That's a little challenging. So, I tend to walk around tomorrow. I have one of those crossbody Lululemon bags. I will carry very little cash, very little like one credit card or something. Like I don't go to these events with a lot with me just because of the high probability. Obviously, pickpocketing is a pretty big issue. I've never had that happen to me, but it's also because I'm really cautious. So I will be very cautious with my camera equipment, with my stuff, and making sure everything is secure and not bringing too much with me because I don't need to bring my full wallet because I won't have the same guys. When I walk around London, I'm constantly like holding my bag close to me, watching my stuff. And that might seem like a little excessive, but that's sort of how you have to do it. So I never had an issue, but I'm also overly cautious. So just saying. And I also have a lanyard for my phone. So, because grabbing the phone from people, I've heard that that's been less common recently, but it has been known that people walking around with their phones out like this, somebody will grab them and run away with them. Becky says, bought my ball cap this afternoon, Brittany. Cannot wait to wear it. Awesome. Yes, I will be wearing my ball cap tomorrow. I will have all the Recollections May Vary gear on. So if anybody is interested, I will be representing. Barbara says, can't wait. Lori says, we went to trooping of the color right after Charles and Diana separated. We saw Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, Philip, and Charles. Very cool. A. Bertasso says, hey, hello, Brittany. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience in London with us. You are so welcome. And yeah, so KCA, hi from Cork. Hello. Redo says you're the only real royal correspondent. You rock. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Kate says, have a fantastic time, Brittany. I went in 1983, but the memories last a lifetime. Love your shows. Always look forward to them. Enjoy tomorrow. Why, thank you. And I'm hoping to give this and be a little bit more consistent about getting out and doing these every year. But obviously, it depends. So Carol says, hello, Brittany from Southwest Florida. We have Ava. Evelyn, the first time I saw it, I was very confused too. All right. Becky says, need to do an unboxing of Fascinators. Yes. And so I have bunches I took pictures of. I was at John Lewis. I like to go to John Lewis. It's cheap. Relatively cheap. So I did go though to Harvey Nichols because they have a little section. Unfortunately, Fenwick, which was on Bond Street, closed, and they actually had a pretty decent Fascinator section. It was actually pretty large, so I'm kind of really disappointed because that was the other place I was going to go. I know Harrods has some. I was in there today, saw a couple in different places, but I knew they were probably super expensive. Oh, and I did see that Harrods has one of the final dresses of the green Jenny Packham sequin one that Catherine has. Harrods has one of the last ones, but it was still like 2,500 pounds. And I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. Maggie says, Lori Hawkins, that's wonderful. Corey says, oh, surprise video. Do you meet up with anyone when there? I generally don't. So sometimes it's been like really, really busy and stuff. And I know tomorrow I tend to be very focused. So obviously there's like downtime before the event starts, but once the event starts and I need to like focus on my camera, I tend to be like very laser focused so I can get the pictures I can use for later. So and I tend to run up to the balcony. I tend to weave through people. I actually want to do like a whole little video montage of like preparing, for seeing a royal and stuff like that. But part of it is, you run to see the balcony. Because some people, at least for the coronation, there were like people who were like trying to link arms and stay together. And I'm like, oh no, no. I like, yeah, maybe that's a little bit much, but that's what I try to avoid. And I run up there and try to get pictures. So that's what I do. Again, some of this just pictures from me, some great coverage and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we shall be able to do though our Saturday morning tomorrow. I was thinking we wouldn't. I was thinking we would have to do it in the evening, but honestly, I think we can do it tomorrow at the same time. Although I do plan on maybe changing up, well, pretty much I'm going to change up. When we do our Saturday morning live streams, I may change it to about this time on Friday. So doing that for a couple of reasons, which I'll explain later, but at a different time, but that is something to consider as well. Anna Million says, I'm surprised you haven't been invited to stand in the horse guards. You're famous enough now, Brittany. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Maggie says, I can confirm it's hot in Arizona. Waymo says, will you meet Kinsey or Dan Wooten? Dan Wooten's out of town, so that won't be necessary, but we won't be able to do that. But I haven't really ever connected with Kinsey, so I don't know what she's up to. Susie says, bring snacks and wear a pee pad. Seriously, so excited for you. Why, thank you. Yes, I will grab a snack and I will have water with me. So it's not like I won't have water, but my idea is not really generally to overindulge because you don't want to have this whole water bottle and need to pee the entire time. That would really suck. And it's hard to find restrooms. The lines tend to be very long. So we're just going to avoid that. A. Bertassa says, would you love a review of Catherine's tripping looks over the years? Yes, I am doing that right now. I have found, though, I was really surprised, though, because as I was looking through all her fashion items over the years, I was surprised how many were like, she does a lot of white and sort of neutral-ish colors, Catherine does. But all my favorites are her bright ensembles. Those are all my favorites. I tend to not like, as well, the more muted ones. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we have this year. I'm hoping for a bright color. I'm hoping for something new. It made total sense for her to use a previous piece and have it redone to sort of hide the port. And the reason is, of course, is that, and I mentioned this in the video, but just to reiterate here too, when you are somebody who's, yes, she was not working for a very good reason, but what she doesn't want to do in that process is look like she was online shopping the entire time by having a whole new look. So Catherine's doing a lot of rewears this year, it's very smart PR wise. Because again, you don't want to look like you spent your whole time shopping on the internet. Now, in my downtime, I shop on the internet quite a bit. And obviously Catherine had very big things going on last year, but it's sort of smart from a PR perspective not to look like you're overindulging after a year, off, even though she obviously was doing something very important, but it's how it looks to other people, especially your detractors. So Maggie says, hi, Carol. Liz M says, I'm so looking forward to seeing Catherine's outfit. Me too. We have Coastal Angel from Vegas here. And Sean says, hello, Brittany. Hope you're happy, my friend. And Mr. Christopher. And I hope you have good weather tomorrow. Have fun, Sean and Mr. Christopher. God save the good King Charlie boy. Yes. Yes, hoping for good weather. Yeah, and I actually almost for this trip, and I'm glad I didn't because it would have been, I could have done it because it kind of got over pretty early, but it just would have been complicated, is covering the christening of Princess Inns over there in Sweden. And for some reason, I can never pronounce that name right. And so when I saw that name, I was like, couldn't you pick something better like Josephine or something? For some reason, that name really trips me up. And so they had that today over there in Sweden. And I wanted to cover that. It's just like I was hoping like they were a week apart instead of the same week, because I would have had to, initially was going to arrive in Sweden and then fly over. But then with points and everything, I could fly over to London. And then I was thinking of doing a Swedish leg, but then that was getting way too complicated. It was going to be really, really tight. So I'm glad I didn't do it. But that was fun to see today too. And I didn't really care for Princess Sophia's number, but we will get to that in a different video. Eva says, Maggie, when it is near sunset, I need to rake the dead leaves. Yes, we have Gigi here and we have Kimberly and Melissa. This means Meghan Markle will push some shenanigans to deflect from trooping. She's so mentally ill. So yeah, this will be interesting to see what Meghan does because obviously she was going to have a gala tomorrow and she's been quiet since last week on social media. Now, should double check because obviously she's like 8 hours behind where we are right now. So it's only like 12 noon in California and we don't have anything from her yet. So would I be surprised if early tomorrow we get a post from Meghan? Yeah. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. So we shall see. We definitely shall see what happens. So we have John who says, hi. We have Kireen. I love your channel, but I have to watch a replay. Middle East on fire right now. It may affect your flight. Please be careful. Why, thank you. Yes, hopefully it's all okay. Actually, crazy enough, I actually was going through Gatwick this time, which I never usually go through Gatwick. So that was like a little different. And that Indian flight was actually supposed to go to Gatwick. So that's kind of crazy. So Juliet says, and obviously lots going on between Israel and Iran as well. So prayers for all of that chaos for sure. Juliet says, make sure you charge everything. Yes. So everything was charged before I left. So I will have to double check though my camera. But I mean, almost the bigger thing is making sure I get the cards in the cameras. So if you actually, let's see. Make sure I have all the cards. Do I have all the cards? Now I'm like freaking out. Did I not bring the right cards? I'm gonna be so mad at myself if I did not bring the right cards. Okay, so I do have one of these. I should have two. I think one's in the camera. And then I have this, they're called CF Express cards. So actually both of these go in the camera. So this is like a high capacity SD one too. So these are both like very expensive. Or more expensive than you feel like they should be. Madam Esther says, hello, have I missed much? Oh my goodness, I would love to coincide with you now that you are in London. Why, thank you. Yes, you haven't missed too much. Lizzie Jones says, can't wait. I think the Welsh Guard are prominent this year. Really happy if so. I hope they do. So Gone Again, my favorite Welsh tune. We shall see. Can't wait. Lemon Drop says, no mention of Twerkle. She will not be mentioned. So it's a high probability she did it last year, which was crazy that Meghan had Nacho release something. And it's like, oh no, we didn't know it was like trooping. It's like, of course you knew. Why do it otherwise? Catherine with a K says, I was at trooping last year when the heavens opened and got drenched. LOL. Really hoping that doesn't happen this year, mostly just for camera reasons. Like it would just, oh my gosh, my heart would break. Just because I don't want to get anything in that camera. So I don't want it to be damaged. I mean, it's like fairly waterproof, but not as waterproof as some of the new ones. So like, yeah, I just don't want to get. So Nancy says, just gone on what time Eastern tomorrow? So if you're talking about trooping, it probably starts at like 5:45 in the morning. So really, honestly, probably not worth getting up too early. You'll be caught up when you get up, whenever that is, and you'll be perfectly fine. I don't think it's something I think a lot of people did a trooping watch party last year just because it was Catherine returning after her cancer treatments and everything. So that made sense. But this year, guys, honestly, it's like a normal trooping. So I don't think there's that same level, or shouldn't be that same level of urgency. So Lizzie Beast gifted 1 Royal News Network membership. Why, thank you so much, Lizzie. I'm sure somebody will really appreciate that. So Lindsay Jones says, was it at trooping that you saw Taz last year? No, that was actually the state visit from Qatar. So I kind of coincided everything to go with the state visit to Qatar. And then obviously there were several events throughout Europe that I attended. So that was really cool. But yeah, I kind of came for that. And so that was not quite as crowded. Trooping, though, it's something that's on the calendar every year. I'm sure there's groups of people who go every year. I think the Qatari state visit, I'm not even sure if it was on a Friday or not. I don't think it was. It was sometime during the week. And so a lot of people are working. Some people don't know. So this is like a set calendar thing that everybody kind of sort of knows. So that means generally they're going to be bigger crowds. I meant to go and like scope out Buckingham Palace today, and I totally forgot until I was back at my hotel and I need to eat and get the video done and also like get stuff ready. So as soon as we get done with this, I will make sure to get all my stuff in the camera, get all the cords, get everything ironed out. Because you also got to think, well, what if your camera dies? So you have to have a backup battery for that. So I have multiple backup well, not multiple. I should have two, but I really only have one right now. Big battery pack for things. So it's just all about keeping everything together. So Marge says, so excited about the event. Looking forward to live stream. Do you have a step ladder? You mentioned wanting one during the Danish event. I appreciate your post. So hold on one second, guys. So this is my step stool, folding step I got from like TJ Maxx. So it's actually taller than the one I took to Denmark because that was a short trip and my bag wasn't big enough for it. So I take that because it gives me, I want to say this thing gives me 1.5 feet or at least a foot of height. And the other one only gives me, let's say 8 inches or something. So this one gives me like at least 5 to 6 more inches. So I take that. Don't want to forget it, especially when they come out on the balcony. You need to be tall. And I'm not terribly tall. And so, and everybody lifts up their phones, especially in a big crowd like that. Yes, they're up tall, they're up high. But in addition, I'll have again tripod, monopod, a bunch of different things, all accoutrements to make sure that I can get the best coverage possible. Hoping. Joanne says, hi from Florida. We have Twisted Peachtree in Homestead said, hey, they're just curious about working royals. Prince Andrew's daughters would be a nice compliment to the royals. Are there any others that would be possibilities? Prince Edward's children or Zara? So Andrew's makes the most sense because they're higher up in the line of succession, and generally speaking, and this might not seem as obvious now because obviously we had the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester and the Duke of Kent and Princess Alexandra of Kent, who are still all technically working royals, but they're quite far down the line of succession. But when they were born, some of them were as high as like, I think 3 or 4 in the line of succession, and then just got bumped down over the years. And so when it comes to Beatrice and Eugenie, I think they would be great additions to the working royal fold. I think Zara Tindall, because she doesn't have a title or anything, really doesn't make sense as a working royal. You kind of need to have some sort of title. Not a requirement, but I think it makes sense. And I just think Sophie and Edward's children are also too far down the line, but they are still included in the balcony appearance. So I don't know. I wish Andrew's girls, I think I like them. I think it would be nice if they were there more. So we shall see. Carol says, last year was bad weather. Yes. Juliet says, I can't bring my son to the sea because of the crowds. Yeah, the crowds are big. The crowds are big. Joni says, thank you, chat, for welcoming kind words. We have Senkas Groupie says, woohoo, I hope the weather is perfect. Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, no rain. No rain is probably the biggest for me. No rain is probably the biggest for me. Just because, again, camera stuff. And I also have my phone out, and yeah. So Corey says, remember, UKs are tough. Rain doesn't bother them. Yes. I mean, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so I actually am pretty used to rain, and it's a very similar weather pattern. But when it comes to like the camera gear, that's what I'm most concerned about is camera stuff, to be quite honest. I do technically have covers for it, but I would prefer not to use them if I don't really have to. Angelica says, does anyone think Harry's going to show up? There's been rumors. No. Gigi says, and the Gigi and the Pop says, looking forward to the shrimping as ever, your commentary and photos. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Princess Goose says, what's going on with King Charles III? GB News acts like something's wrong. I don't really know, but obviously he's going through his cancer treatments, doing pretty well overall. But the thing is like we sort of know that he will, and somebody described this as he probably will not die from this cancer, but he'll probably die with this cancer. So it sounds like it's something, and I think that was from like the Telegraph. So this was not like a tabloid. It came from a high-ranking publication that he'll probably always have this and always be struggling to a certain extent with it. Can he live with it? Yes. Will it be as simple as he wants it to be? No. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge for sure. Carrie says, how long are you going to be in the UK? Just till Tuesday. So it's a very short trip. Evelyn says, I hope you get an excellent spot for your trooping coverage. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Oh, Haley says Purple Crown are number one fans. It's a new scale YouTube made. It's just people who interact the most in chat. I forgot about that. I was wondering. So he said Purple Crowns. And it was weird because it's like I have crowns. And so I'm like, is it my crown? Peter Atfield says, ask Dan Wooten. He should be able to point you in the right direction for breast credentials. We actually did discuss that. So he gave me a little bit of guidance there, but it's something where you kind of have to make inroads. And it's a process. Although they do have an official email address now. I don't know how much they check it though, because last time I sent an email to the Buckingham Palace email address and went to the ether, and I never heard again. Shaz says, make sure your mobile is safe, Brittany, as that is exactly what thieves will be after. Yes, again, I have a lanyard for it, and even when I probably put it on my camera, I'll probably maybe keep the lanyard attached to the phone as an extra security precaution. So, Coastal Gal says, hope you have a great time. Would you consider a prepaid card so it's easier? I mean, maybe, but yeah, I will. It shouldn't be too bad. Again, I haven't had an issue before, but you just have to be good. And a prepaid card, like if it was like a credit card or something, I don't even know if it would be accepted. So that's kind of tricky thing, but I will just have one thing with me just as a backup. So Clifford says, why are people making a bit of issue that King Charles is not riding? Her Majesty the Queen didn't ride for many years, so please let the king do what he wants. Yeah, he's in his 70s now, and if that's what GB News was focusing on, seriously, like, 70s, like we just saw that Catherine Amalia got bucked off. Well, we don't know exactly what happened, but she fell off her horse and busted up her upper arm, had to have surgery, most likely hardware. So horseback riding, yes, it is like you can train your horse the best, but things can still happen. So best not to tempt fate, you could say. Creative Chaosify, do you plan to do any shopping in London? That's actually mostly what I've been doing. That's mostly what I've been doing. So like that's what I did most of the day today, because there's a lot of sales going on and I love me some sales. So I'm actually hoping to go to Bicester Village on Monday. So there's like tickets you can get early for Order of the Garter, but I didn't get them. Next year I'll try to kind of make inroads to get press credentials so I can just do it that way. And yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So it's like I can't get in anyway, so I'm like, I'm just gonna have fun. And they might, because it's sort of sales season, they might have an additional sale. So if you don't know, Bicester Village is like they have like designer outlets, like high level designers, and I enjoy that. I love shopping. Actually, I went up to Shoe Heaven in Harrods today, guys, and if you're curious, again, they have massive sale up there. Whole bunch of designer shoes up like 40-50% off. So if you are interested in anything like that, there's plenty of options up there. I almost got this pair of shoes that were actually quite pricey, but they had a pretty decent discount. But I was like, I will never wear these. I'm not going to spend the money on something I'm never going to wear. So I'm trying to be better about buying shoes that I can actually comfortably wear and stuff that I can actually comfortably wear. So I will continue to check that out and see what options might be available. But I love me some sales. So I am very tempted, but trying to pull myself back. Sunday, though, I think I'm going to go to the Cartier exhibition because I do have the Victoria and Albert Museum membership. So I'll just go there I think they're open Sunday. I'll have to double check. If not, I'll just go super early Monday and go to Bicester Village after that. But I'll go super early in the morning again. Abertasso says, Brittany, the red heart in my comment appeared as black heart. No idea why. Sorry about that. No worries at all. Didn't even notice, to be quite honest. Candy says, hi, Brittany. Be watching from Michigan. Love that you are there and sharing with us. You rock. Why, thank you. Yes, and I will try to upload as I can. So during the coronation, the internet did go out at some point. It was probably a conscious effort by the police for crowd control measures and security measures and all those sorts of things. Don't think that'll be a situation here, but that's always a distinct possibility as well. But my goal is to post as much as I can. Robin says, hello, Brittany. Have a ton of fun. And Orlando, Florida fan. Why, thank you. Azima says, need a hug. Feeling sad. I'm so sorry, Azima. Well, I hope you get a wonderful hug. I give you a digital one. Clifford says, John Lewis is a posh store, slightly expensive for the working class folk. Yes, but they do have Fascinators are at least like, you know, the 50-pound range to a 100-pound range, which is better than the like 600 to 1,000 ones I saw at Harvey Nichols. So I take that. Nausea says it would be nice to see Princess Beatrice and Eugenie on the balcony, but I doubt we will. I would actually love to see the whole family there again. I think it's a bummer not to have everybody. I think it's kind of boring. I liked seeing all the kids interact. I thought it was fun. It's great to see everybody. I think kind of the smaller balcony makes me sad a little bit. Lindsay Jones says, "Duck and weave, Brittany. Get in there." Yes, that is what I do. So I have this little thing I'm hoping to attach to my backpack, but I haven't really had a chance to like try it yet. But maybe actually get a video POV of running down the mall to get to the palace. So we'll be ducking and weaving through the crowd. Iwa Lota Adolfsson says, "Hello from Sweden." Hello. So I didn't make it to the christening, which I wanted to this year, but I'm hoping to make it to my plan is next year. I'm hoping King Carl Gustaf has a big 80th birthday bash because if it's as nice as the Norwegian one, I want to be there. So that's what I'm hoping for next year. Of course, I'm always hoping for no bells. Marge says, "I'll be watching from St. Louis." Why, thank you. KCA says, "Do you fly first class and what airline do you fly?" So I fly whichever class I can afford at that particular moment. So I have flown first class, premium, comfort plus, and regular economy. So it depends on the flight. So I've had some wonderful flights and stuff like last time I didn't even sleep at all. And I still upgraded to Comfort Plus because it's only like $100 more. And I was able to pay for my tickets mostly with points. And so that was pretty miserable. But I mostly fly Delta. So in case y'all are curious. Coastal Angel says, "How long does it last from start to finish?" So they get over there to the horse guards at 11 and they have about an hour there. They come back and then they let the crowd in and then the fly past happens at 1. So technically the event itself is only 2 hours, but you need to get there a lot earlier. So Jenny Star says, "It can't wait to see your coverage." Why, thank you. Michelle says, "So exciting. Congratulations." Why, thank you. And Emilian says, "Brittany's a far better royal expert than Kitsy." Oh, why, thank you. Why, thank you. I think she does a good job as well, but I don't follow her too much. Again, guys, I've mentioned this before. I don't really follow other royal commentators much anymore just to not cloud how I talk about the royals myself. So I want to keep my views and point of view fresh. I do, though, like to listen to people who don't normally talk about royals because I feel like they have a different observation than those who have watched them more closely. So I don't know what she's planning to do for tomorrow. She might be because she's part of GB News or something. So she maybe has a nice spot, but I will be in the crowd and I will be getting the pictures myself because I like that. Not everybody does. I sometimes wish I was like not in the crowd because that's challenging, but it is a fun thing to do, fun thing to see, and very engaging. Princess Goose says darker colors work better with her hair. I think so. Azima says, "Can't wait to see Prince Louis." Rit says, "Catherine's ladylike coat dresses are my favorite." Godzilla Manstrap says, "Awesome." Why, thank you. PJ says, "I wonder if that's why Meghan loves her whites and creams. She's trying to copy Princess Catherine." No, I think it was like, I think it's something where she thinks that it makes her look classier or something, but she just definitely just doesn't look that good. Carol says, "Love her spin when she's wearing the suit this week at Victoria and Albert." Yes, that is a cool thing. I really like how they're doing that because museums are filled with a lot of things that we don't actually see. And so I think that's pretty cool. Gabby says, "Tuning in from Venezuela, South America. So excited to hear all this prep for trooping. Have a blast, Brittany." Why, thank you. Why, thank you. So Clifford says, "Brittany and Kenzie are both good in their own right. Let's not pull other royal family YouTubers." That is true. That is true. So no comparison here. Just obviously, always everybody has their different approaches. So hoping she has a good time there tomorrow as well. Lorraine says, "Lovely to see you. It's 5:25 a.m. here in Tasmania, Australia. Have a wonderful day." Why, thank you. Ritz says, "I love Catherine's longer hair over the last years. Makes her updos even more beautiful." Very true. Very true. Very true. Robin and Willow, Delicious Living says, Brittany, have you FaceTime Miss Pippa today? I have not. I have not. So I'm sure she's doing fine though. She doesn't tend to know what the camera is on the phone and the picture is. So my dog is like not paying attention to that. So we had a golden retriever and he very much knew when my name, like when I was talking over the phone, my dog has no clue. She kind of like looks around and thinks somebody talking to me, but she doesn't quite get it either. Oh, Eva says Megan will do a pap walk with the kids. I would not be surprised if a pap walk comes out very, very late tonight. Would not be surprised at all. Would not be surprised. Well, no, not a pap walk, guys. Instagram. She'll show the kids on Instagram. We've had a week break, so it makes sense. Charlotte says, I was in London for 3 weeks in May. The weather was stunning. Enjoy your holiday. I don't think Megan will surface tomorrow because everyone's predicting her to do so. I especially because her gala event where she was going to be honored was canceled. I think she'll have serious FOMO. Rediscover locations with Sharona says, hi, Brittany. Welcome back to the UK. Question, why did you change your setup at home? Hope you enjoy the weather here. So I changed my setup because I wanted to do more of the fashion stuff. The unfortunate thing was the room where I initially had my setup. So this was when I initially moved into the place. It was a smaller room. And I changed it because I was like standing in front of my bookcase and I figured out that I could create a permanent setup and stream through StreamYard, which was so much better than recording on my camera, then taking the disc out and then, or like the SD card and putting it in my computer. So I made the decision, which I still really like, to switch it to the next room. But then it's like I couldn't really use the other room for fashion. It just didn't have the appropriate depth and everything. So I was like, my friend was coming over and she was going to help me with something. She's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to switch the rooms back, which I feel really dumb about because I switched them over once and then I switched them again. So I feel a little silly, but it makes the most sense. And when we were doing the setup, I was using my other lens, which was a 16, it's like a $200 lens. It's not a very good lens. And it worked well for sort of the room I had before. But because of the new angle of where the camera was, it was picking up too much. And so I was like, you know what? Let me change it out for this other lens I have. And once I changed it out for the other lens, made all the difference in the world. The video is much sharper as well. It's a nicer lens, much nicer lens. And that's not originally what I wanted it for. I wanted that lens for video purposes, but honestly, like video coverage things, but honestly, it might just work better the way I have it now. And so I was just like, okay. And I was like, that's it. Well, we're just going to do it this way. And yeah. So that's what I did. And I like it much better. I can have now a static, hopefully I still have to work on finishing up the fashion room. I can have a static fashion setup. And so when I have something to film for fashion, like I like to do product reviews and stuff like that, like I have a whole thing of stuff I purchased I haven't been able to show, in part because I just didn't have a room that was functional to that. And so I will be doing that hopefully soon and getting back to that a bit more. And like I have I want to get also some additional lights, I think too. I have 2, but I may need 4 to kind of really light up things appropriately. But anyways, yeah, that's the story. Michelle says you can take with you candy that will help a hunger and dry mouth. And don't forget sun protection. Yes, I went and bought some protection for my face and for my arms and everything because it's going to be a like sunny day, which is awesome. Marissa says the Duchess of Twerk will be doing some papping soon. Oh man, but we have seen less of paparazzi strolls, guys. So this is actually an interesting thing. Now I'm just thinking about it, guys. This is fascinating. We've seen fewer paparazzi strolls because Meghan now has Instagram, so she doesn't need the paparazzi anymore. Isn't that like, think about it? How many paparazzi pictures have we seen this year? None, because Meghan doesn't need to arrange them anymore. She has Instagram to do it. Oh man. Very interesting. St. Elmo's Fire says, "Have fun. Are you meeting Dan? Please get him or someone to introduce you to an English gentleman. I know Julia Montique would." Why, thank you. Why, thank you. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. We shall see sometime if that happens. TV channel says, "Hi. So I finished watching Meg and Harry movie in timeline. So it's so cringe. And Megan trying to be uninterested in fame is so fake." Yeah, it's so fake. Like anytime it says like, "Oh, she wasn't interested," she's 100% interested. She's been trying her whole life to get famous. Like, come on. Come on. St. Elmo's Fire says, "Is it a bank holiday on Monday?" It might be. Chris says, "Hey, Chris, enjoy tripping Brittany. Greetings from sunny Copenhagen today." Well, hello. I love Copenhagen. Copenhagen has to be one of my favorite cities. I really enjoy it. Well, I love covering the Danish royals because they're so helpful. And I'm looking forward again to getting back to Sweden. And so hoping next year, because it should be a really big year for King Carl Gustaf. And so I'm really, 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 really hoping we can get there for that. Would love to have covered the christening today, but I also thought too, like I was going to fly over to Sweden in the back. And then I was sort of looking at the whole situation, and really you would only get, unless you were invited inside, and I wouldn't have been, you only get like 15 minutes maybe of seeing people, and then it's all over with. And for me, at least, because I wasn't already there, that just didn't seem worth it to fly out. And tomorrow's going to be a big day. So Creative Chaosify says, "Will the royals have any engagements after the balcony appearance?" Generally, no. Generally, no. Rediscover locations with Sharona says, "Hi, Brittany. Welcome back to the UK. Why did you already asked that. And I already answered. So yeah, we did it for a couple of reasons. Costo Angel says, "Harry brought this speculation with his stupid interview to flush out information about his health to use." We could say that, although I will have to say as well, we sort of like we've heard it from the Telegraph and stuff like that. So it's probably true, but yeah, it's just gonna be challenging. So Lemon Drop Kid says the Queen Mum had cancer in the 1960s, but she kept it quiet. Yes. But I mean, I think it was good for Charles to be honest about it, because if he was gone for a particular period of time, or if he has issues or something like that, it's just good for people to know. Ilana Lama says, "I would love to ride my horse in trooping, but he'd get he'd be a bit too excited." Oh my gosh, I've been watching a lot of horse videos recently. It makes me really want a horse. But the thing is, like, I have a plate of 9 screws in here, and that was from getting bucked off a course. So, and my foot injury I had, it's technically named after a horse injury. So I like not a good plan. Not a good plan. So yeah, we will not be doing that. Although I really want to, because horses are so cool. But they're also, somebody called them the most neurotic animals. And I was like, I can see that. But they also seem very entertaining, and they're so pretty. But they're also big and heavy. And like if they decide they want to do something, sometimes there's not much you can do to like prevent that. So Pam Plant says, "I've been watching the rehearsals, and King Charles III has been riding a horse. Catherine, Camilla, and the kids were in an open carriage." Very interesting. So Lindsay Jones says, "I wish we saw more of Princess Anne. She's someone to be admired." Yes. Pamela says, "Make sure to eat and drink plenty of water and sleep. Travel can be hard on the body. You don't want to return homesick." Yes. And I was so bummed the woman next to me was coughing the entire time on the flight. And I was like, you make me sick of me. So irritated. Just because, like, especially because I work for myself. If I'm out of commission, that's like really, really bad. So don't want that. Marissa says, "Buy another hat. There's a lovey there." Yes, I really do want to start to do that, but I couldn't decide what to buy, because one of the challenges is, at least because it's John Lewis, like I have a hat in at least one of the configurations already, so I could get one but in a different color, and I don't really want to do that. But they had some interesting ones, so again, I'll have to share them and have you guys vote. Diane says, "I think it's great you're there, Brittany. What time does the coverage start?" So it would start, so I wouldn't be able to cover it live, I don't think, because of internet and all the people, and it just would be too complicated. I will be posting probably most likely updates from X would be the easiest, but I'll try to do them like with pictures on YouTube as well, and try to upload some videos and things. It just will depend on how crazy things get. Because the challenges sometimes is like, I want to be there to cover, but there is sometimes a bit of a delay in what I can get up. So we will be trying that. I do have technically 2 phones, so I can really do double time here. And when it comes to the camera, it does take a little time to get the stuff off the camera. So that'll be a bit of the challenge, but I will bring as much equipment as I can to get things to you guys as quickly as possible. I do also like to put watermarks on my pictures. I've gotten to the point where they're less obnoxious, but I like to have them on there, guys, because obviously traveling all the way out here and everything, it's a cost, and I don't want people to, because people snipe your pictures and they put them up at other places. And so if they snipe them with my watermark, I don't really mind. But if they snipe them without it, that's kind of, that would be on me. And that's not my favorite. And I pay a lot now or I've paid a lot in the past for really nice camera equipment. So I want it to look, so like getting good pictures hopefully makes it all worth it. Kyle says, Brittany, have a great trip and sales never pay retail. Yep. I love the sales. Can't stress that enough. I actually tried on quite a few needle and thread dresses today, but there was only one I really, really liked, but it was like a size or two too small. And I'm like still trying to talk myself out of getting it because I really liked it. But I was like, well, if I go back at some point and I didn't find something else, because the thing is, guys, this time I'm really trying to pace myself and only getting something if I like really, 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 really like it. And I want to see all my options before I make a final decision. And if I go through everything and I still decide I want X, I may still get X. But if I go through everything and I find something better, then yeah, I will get that. Although it will say they have a really good deal right now at Boots, in case you're wondering, like, got a great deal on this foundation. It's my like the foundation I use all the time. Got a really good deal on it. I think I saved at least 10, $15 from the States because they have like a sale going on and stuff like that. So yeah. Francisco says, Jill, you'll have to get up super duper early. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Pamela says there's a lot going on in my hometown, but I'll be checking out Brittany's coverage throughout. Why, thank you. So Lemon Drop Kid says, I like the fashion and jewelry stuff. Tired of hearing about the gruesome twosome. Yes, and we will try to do some sort of video tomorrow, like at some point, looking at trooping, but I may just re-upload live streams. You guys will notice the last year a little bit, I re-uploaded a couple of parts of the live. And so I did that just because in part I knew I was traveling and not everybody wants to watch it live. And the way we do it now, which is a less popcorn, like right now we're doing every question, doing kind of popcorn. That's harder to kind of manage. So anyways, Princess Goose says, does Pippa have poodle in her? They're super smart. Yes, she does have poodle. She's a Yorkie poo. So she's part poodle. Charlotte Jones says, how come all the royal events not in our history books down in history? I don't know. That's an interesting question. Azima says, what was the gala for? What award did she pay for? Something with the National History Museum of Los Angeles or something. The thing is, like, and when I say pay for awards, I don't mean that she paid directly to the museum in exchange for award. That's usually not what I mean. It's usually like she paid her, and she has a new PR person. So I need to do kind of a whole video on that because I'm really fascinated by the fact that Meghan continues this pattern from when she was in Suits, which is paying to shortcut things. She pays PR to pay shortcuts to get ahead. And I find that to be very obnoxious. And it's just indicative of the fact that Meghan doesn't want to do the hard work to earn the awards. She purchases them by paying so much for PR. Guys, I want to say, again, I know I've said this before, all her Suits money went to PR. And I think all their money now is going to PR. And the problem is she's the problem with the PR. So yeah, it's kind of sort of crazy. Okay, so we will be trying to wrap this up. And Chris, you'll have to let me know, Chris Overby. Is there going to be a big celebration, do you think, for Carl Gustav's 80th? I'm really hoping that might be the case. Rediscover says with Sharona, that makes total sense to Brittany. The only thing I miss is your light you had in the background. I know some people miss that. It's just, it won't even come through totally because it's sort of, the lens automatically blurs the background. So I don't know. I might move it, but we'll see. Paz, Neri, hey, Paz. Hi, Brittany and chat. So excited for tomorrow's coverage. Enjoy chirping. Why, thank you. Hope you're doing well, Paz. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be a crazy, crazy day. Crazy. Rich says, we're going to hear soon that Lord and Lady Nothingburger skipped trooping the color event because they were busy. Yes. Pamela says, "I'm sure it's a long, hard day for the royal family, particularly older members." Yeah, and the carriages are not known for being, like, super duper comfortable. So, TV channel says, "Brittany, what do you think about Will and Kate not doing ribbon cutting a lot? Do you think that's a mistake to show up less in public? It makes a lot of difference." So, there is a complexity here, I'll admit, but I will have to say the royal family desperately needs somebody who does sort of those bread and butter engagements. And Catherine and William are focusing on sort of big impact things, but the reality is you can't ignore the small stuff. You need a good balance because sometimes if you're doing this big thing and you're like, oh, everybody's going to love it, and half the people don't, it might end up being sort of a waste of time because you might not really get what you want out of it in terms of the public perception. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Sir Squirrels a lot says, "Hi Brittany, can you talk about why it matters that King Charles stays at Clarence House? It's in that building complex of buildings, so what's the big deal?" Yeah, so there's this perception that the king or queen must live in Buckingham Palace. I've never subscribed to that notion. So I think it's perfectly fine that he stays in Clarence House. Nobody really likes living in Buckingham Palace. I mean, it's a working palace. It's very busy. Obviously, you have tourists there all the time. It's like in a super busy part of London. Well, not really. Like it's surrounded by gardens, really, but like there's a lot of people that go through that road getting to different places and stuff. So it's like I totally understand why nobody wants to live there. And Charles has always loved Clarence House. It's nice and homey, and it makes sense to me. And what's kind of nice is if you're down at Buckingham Palace and Charles is leaving for the day, you can see him leave. So that's pretty cool. Emilian says, "Did everyone hear the reports that Harry wants to visit kids to have option of becoming working royals when they're older?" Yes, I did a video on that. Harry is deluded and crazy on that notion because it's not going to happen. All right. Charlotte Jones says, "I always thought Harry would go to support the family. We know he is grieving. Why not change the environment to be part and take things?" Yeah, we'll see. Oh, Cyber Maven says, "Brittany, yay, Harry and Meghan jettisoned for their PR team." I'll have to look into that. I do know a new person they've hired, but if they fired other people, that would not be a surprise at all to me. All right, guys, I'm looking through here. We need to wrap up somewhat soon so I can make sure I got everything together and then get to bed rather early because I tend to stay up rather late. Yeah, Pamela says each time you attend a royal event, you get better and better at the technical aspects as well, the strategic aspects. Yes, you kind of actually need to be on the ground and working it to really understand it. So Paz says, "Hey, please don't get something if it's too small. You'll find something else." Yeah, that's kind of what I was going with. I was like, yeah, it doesn't quite fit. And sometimes for me, I'm like, oh, I just need to get it right now. It's on sale, but it didn't quite work either. So we're gonna be getting, although I have lost a little bit of weight, so I'm very excited about that. Gonna keep working on that for sure. And it always helps when you're walking around all around London. All around London. So, Jenna says so many celebrities are private persons and are never in the tabloids. Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock. You never hear about them unless they have a movie coming up. Exactly. Exactly. They never do press unless they're busy promoting a movie. And there are ways to do that and be sane. So, yeah. So we say, Miss Lady Bob says, "Hey, Brittany, looking forward to tomorrow. Love you, Brittany." Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well and hoping that it all goes together. So, guys, we will go ahead and wrap it up here. I know there's probably more questions and stuff like that, but yeah, we are going to wrap this up just again so I can get all ready. I have a members video of the stuff I like packed overall, but I may show you guys later what I pack when I'm headed out. And I have like so much stuff. I have so much stuff. I actually have a bigger suitcase, guys. I have a massive suitcase that I brought with me for like a 6-day trip. And part of it is just to have all the camera stuff and put more things in the checked bag and less I'm having on my back. Because last time actually I didn't have that much on my back going out. And I was so proud of myself, guys. Because usually I have like 3 jackets with me and like trying to avoid putting stuff in my suitcase, which is really stupid. So, anyways, guys, so exciting. Cannot wait to share with you guys what we get tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be able to have the live stream Saturday. We maybe put it an hour back. So it gives me a little bit of time because I might need to decompress because this is, again, very, very busy, stressful, and long. I just definitely need to get something to eat, later. So, guys, let me know what you are hoping for. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we shall do so much more tomorrow. So, guys, have a wonderful night, and I will give you hopefully some amazing, amazing